It's a beautiful Wednesday here in the city of Port Harcourt, and we are here to bring you the headlines across newspapers around Nigeria. You're welcome to the newspaper review, and we are set to bring you the headlines. Thank you for joining us on this very fine 11th day in the month of October 2023. My name is William Sabule, and together to do the headlines with me here on the program is Victor Sioko. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And please do well to be a part of this program. We want you to participate by dropping your comments and reactions because you are also a discussant right here on the program. All right, and also connect with us on all our social media handles starting from here. First, subscribe. Click on the subscribe button and, of course, turn on your notification. And, of course, then connect with us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and, of course, on X, formerly known as Twitter. All right, let's get into the business of the day. Let's go to the papers, beginning with the Vanguard newspaper for today, the 11th day of October 2023. And on the Vanguard, we have as headline here, IMF raises alarm over rising inflation. Page 19 is where that detail is. Clark decries deploration state of roads in South. Also, we see federal government to cut number of taxes to 9. General jailed 7 years by Army court martial. I didn't forge my certificates, Atiku. All right, somehow the fingers have changed direction back to him, saying you forged your certificate too, and he's now explaining. Interesting. All right, we move on to the main headline. It says there, Israel-Hamas war. Federal government halts pilgrimage as Lagos elites 310 from Jerusalem. Israel pounds Gaza despite threats to kill hostages. Death toll exceeds 1,900 as oil prices surge. Conflict taking horrendous toll on children. UNICEF. All right, details of all of that you find on page 5 of the Vanguard. We also see here, insecurity will help Nigeria overcome banditry, kidnapping, Boko Haram. EU speaking there. Also, we see reps to investigate use of foreign currency as legal tender in Nigeria. Bad roads. Federal government gives contractors 14-day ultimatum. All right, and then lastly, I'll take this one. Why court disqualified Bielsa APC candidate, Sylva, 21. Page 21 is where details of that story is. All right, let's get into our conversation. Let's talk about Israel. Still on the news, and the war is raging even more harder than ever before. Israel has begun to respond to the attacks by the Hamas and Palestine, and a lot of reactions are coming. And we see from the reports today that Nigeria has also begun airlifting pilgrimages that were in the country when the war began back to Nigeria for safety's sake and all of that. And so what's your reaction so far, seeing, what is going on in Israel, how, both children, mothers, nobody is spared this time. It's not a war that is between the soldiers. It is now an actual war of everything concerning both sides. They are going all out, free for all with each other. And it's really a troubling time for everyone seeing what's going on. What's your reaction?
Yeah, it's a bad situation right now for the world. It is not like the Ukraine-Russia war, because in Ukraine-Russia war, you see some elements of obeying the rules of engagement.
True.
But this time around, you find both parties are going against the human rights laws, and it's really, really bad out there. So you then ask the question, why is it that the Palestinians / Hamas, it's a very complicating situation right now, because the Hamas is like a military arm, okay, in the Palestinian nation, that they are defending their actualization, okay, defending their right to become themselves and not being controlled by the Israeli government. Remember, like I said the other time, Gaza Strip is regarded as an open air prison. When I mean internationally, it's not just about allegedly or somebody describing it that way. It is known. It is known by paper that Gaza is an open air prison. Okay, reason because the almost 90% of control in Gaza is done by the Israeli and its military. Okay, so where you have people that cannot really, okay, do their thing, cannot really leave the region, enter the region, they are highly monitored, okay, not by their own leaders, but by an external leader. So it makes it what does this generate? What does it bring about? It brings about rage. It brings about anger. Okay, that's just imagine you being caged in a house. Okay, you know the kind of psychological challenges you face, the kind of challengical developments that might processes that might cause you in that space. So that's what is also happening to these people out there. And note that when two persons are fighting about a land, okay, you also need to listen to the both parties. Exactly. It might just be that circumstances brought them to that situation. Yeah. Okay, but then in all, you just ask the question: how should these people resolve this issue? Because for me, an unborn Palestinian has been, in fact, inside the womb of a Palestinian, is seen an Israeli or a Jew as an enemy. Same with an Israelite. Okay, so the question now is, how can this problem be resolved? Right now, if it's something that will, mind you, there have been many treaties, agreements, and all that has happened. And even those agreements, when the United Nations come together and say, okay, let's follow this agreement, you find out that one party, either the Israeli government or the Palestinian government, will just thwart those plans. Okay, so right now that's the question, and and out there for Nigerians, we are Nigerians, we also need to talk about our persons out there. It's a difficult situation for us down there. Mind you, Nigerians are almost everywhere in the world. And in a situation like this, the government is in full force right now, trying to repatriate or trying to bring people back home. And wars. Oh God. I just remembered a senior family friend that resides in Israel. And when they first even told me that this person stays in Israel, I was like, how? Why? Okay, yes, we also know people out there that want to go to Israel. But personally, I'm like, why? How? Because Israel, Palestine, all those regions around that area, anything can happen at any given time.
Very prone to war and violence and all of that.
In fact, Israel, when they are building their houses, they build it with the intention that a rocket might strike the house. That is the reason why some of those houses that were even bombed, it will take, I think about 4,000 bombs. They were making some instances of the degree of the bomb that was dropped in Israel. That's on the 7th of October against the degree of bombing that was dropped at the Twin Towers. Okay, they rated it about, I think, 11 times of what happened in the Twin Towers. So you can imagine the destruction that the bombs or the airplanes resulted in 9/11 to what has happened now, 11 times of that magnitude of wreckage. That is what happened in Israel between the 7th, between 7th and 8th of October. And when these things happen, it breeds another level of anger among both parties. So right now, even the Israeli IDP, that's their government or their military, they are already started bombarding Gaza. That they don't also care about human lives.
True. And then we've been seeing the images coming out of that, or the results of those bombings, and this time they're not looking really good. Children, those are very heart-wrenching images when you see a father holding his dead daughter and then crying and asking God, well, how did we get here? What's happening? They're very, very disturbing images coming from both the Palestinian side and, of course, the Israeli side, because even the attack, the first attack, the surprise attack, as they call it, on the Israeli side, these Hamas the soldiers didn't spare children, didn't spare women, didn't spare. In fact, most of the people, most of the attack was on civilians, because you can't tell me that they were soldiers at the beach party that they first, hit. They shot sporadically into the crowd, killing anybody and anything that was moving. And then the ones that couldn't move, they grabbed them as hostages. And then the question is, were they soldiers at the beach? They were not soldiers. So it was as though the Hamas militants, or soldiers as they were, went into Israel to take down anything that is moving. And then now it looks as though Israel is doing the same thing. So once you want to say, very wrong move by Hamas, why should you do that? The UN at one point was saying that, it's not acceptable. They were condemning it. But then you need to see the wreckage of the bombs that Israel has been sending to the Palestinian territory. It is horrifying. Horrifying. And in fact, if there are words that are worse than that, we need to be using them right now. And then we saw the defense minister of Israel saying that they are going to intensify that. They're going to triple, what they are doing at this time. And then the prime minister also came out to say that this will be the worst mistake of Hamas, and they are going to make the loudest statement ever to Hamas and enemies of Israel worldwide, that nobody should ever try this again. So when you hear statements like this, you begin to envisage a lot more horror coming. And so our heart goes out to all the innocent lives that have been lost within the very last few days, like a matter of Saturday till today, Wednesday. Thousands of lives have been lost and still counting. Now, thousands of lives lost are the ones that are accounted for. There are a lot of people that are buried under the rubble that have not been, identified up till now. And these bombs are still going out. And even the Israel Iron Dome defense system hasn't been able to intercept most of the missiles that the Palestinians are firing in. So you begin to wonder, when Israel launched the Iron Dome about 2 years ago or so, everyone was like, wow, so these guys are impenetrable. But today, we find out that in real war situation, so much is already happening to them. So it's not a good time for that region. And if you have any God you are praying to, please, this is the right time to call on your God to breathe peace on that region. We don't need it. Oil prices are surging as a result of this war. And it's also a bad thing, because nations that are already in a very tense situation may just, fire up and say, okay, it looks like it's a World War thing currently. This is how the Second World War started. People that are fighting for territories, and before you know it, one set say, okay, we own the world more than the others, and then it started. So it's not a good time for Israel, neither is it a good time for Palestine. Nobody supports what the Palestinians and the Hamas, the attack. I don't know whether I would call it an undue attack, because I don't want to say it's an undue or uncalled attack, because over time it has been said that Israel has been intimidating them. They believe that they've been highly intimidated and suppressed. And this is them coming out to assert their, right to be alive and right to own a territory and all of that. And to top it off, they say, Israel does not want them to worship, freely. And, Israel desecrated their holy place of worship, their mosque. And these are all response to the endless oppression of the Israeli government on the Palestinian state. And but then again, the question is, when you want to attack a superpower like Israel, you must have something backing you. And so, yes, accusations have been flying around that it is highly connected to Iran. We also saw the Iranian supreme leader coming out to say, that he is encouraging all Muslims and the Palestinians to keep holding on with their push to regain their territory and all of that. He made those statements trying to, support the fight. But there's nothing saying that they have been supporting the Hamas military with weapons and all of that. There's no clear statement. But, of course, investigation is still on to know who are the people behind. I mean, it's almost strange to see a little boy that can barely walk around you, the giant, then suddenly the little boy starts to slap you or starts to kick your leg and beat you, and he's no longer scared. There must be something backing him. So that's what all of that is going on. But it's not a very good time for that region.
I also think that it will not be a hard thing for the government, the Israeli government, and the US, who is their ally, to find out who are these sponsors. I don't think it will take the end of this month for them to just bring out those documents and show the whole world that how did Hamas get this powerful at this time. Okay. Yeah, how did they get this powerful at this time? Secondly, one will also say that is it that the Hamas did not know that yes, they were trying to also make a point, just like you insulting somebody or bringing down somebody or maltreating somebody, even if the person is your child, at a particular time when the pressure has gathered so much that the person cannot contain anymore, the person explodes. And that is what I think happened right now. But they should have also I'm not trying to side anybody, but as a journalist, I say that they were also to note that they need to be ready for the attack from Israel. Because it's on record countless time that anytime Hamas or any terrorist group or any military or whatever you call it attacks Israel, that they go back in tenfold. At least they hit at you so hard that you just be wondering, why did I do this to these people? Okay, and will I say fortunately for them too, they have powers like the US that is really backing them
and saying that any other nation that interferes, they
yes,
are going to come out strong against them.
yes.
So you see, it's not a good call for.
Yes, and lastly, to save our time here, you just keep wondering. The Israel that we know, they have Jews, they have Christians, they have Muslims. So you just find that, yes, we know that they have many Jews out there, but yes, this war is also in quotes after the Jews in Israel. Okay, then you also ask the question, why the attack on the Jews? Well, this has dated back. Even when you start going back to history during the times of Holocaust in Poland, it was still the same Jews that they say that they must, no Jew will exist in this earth. Okay, but then it's a difficult situation. My last point on this is that they should, I know this war is not going to end right now, but I hope and I pray that both parties should just let there be settlement. Even the same Gaza Strip we are talking about, some Israelites, or why do I call them Israelites? Israelis are in
living
Gaza.
there. And that's why within the first 24 or 48 hours, you heard the Israeli government saying that Israeli people living around those areas should evacuate. And the moment the time elapsed, they started firing missiles into that area, not minding whether they still have people around those areas or not. In their own time plan, their citizens and civilians living around there must have evacuated. So whatever is left there are soldiers, so they are just going to just obliterate them, because that's the plan. They said they are going to wipe them off the surface of this earth to make a loud and very solid statement to the rest of their enemies. And it's I don't know how to react to this kind of statements, but well, it's not a good time. I'm not enjoying the pictures and images that are coming out of there. And whether you like it or not, this war is not fully reported. They cannot report everything that is going on, because we've also not, witnessed the deaths of journalists that are also caught in crossfire. More than 5 journalists have already died in this whole war, and so it's not possible to be able to capture the horrifying scenes and happenings coming out of that war right now. So you can imagine in your mind the extent of damage that is ongoing, and I don't think any human being wants that to happen to them. And again, would it take a year to rebuild? It will take years upon years upon years. Or maybe look at Syria. I mean, you need to look at the images coming out of Syria, pictures of the cities in Syria. It doesn't look good, and it's as a result of war, and all of that. So it's not a good time. We hope that they find a place to kind of like have a ceasefire agreement and let peace return to the region. Let's have some kind of diplomacy going on instead of these missile attacks from left to right. Well, let's move away from that story and see what the headlines on other newspapers look like. And this time we're going to the Nigerian Tribune. And on the Nigerian Tribune for today, the 11th day in the month of October, we have a headline here. Army court sends Major General Mohammed to 7 years in prison. Orders refund of $2.1 million. That's 1.65 billion naira. All right, we also see here Ayedatiwa appeals as Ondo court strikes out case to halt his impeachment. Also, 5.4 million electorate to vote in Kogi Imo Bayelsa State election. Page 5 is where we get details. IMF commends bold reforms in Nigeria. Sylva appeals ruling disqualifying him from Bayelsa Guba race. All right, page 16 is where you get that details. Crude oil theft. Senate to probe security forces, militia groups. Page 5 is where that detail is. Nigerian employer pays over 60 different taxes annually. Wow, that's alarming.
Yeah.
60 different taxes. Wow. And it looks as though the call for more taxes are on the rise. All right, NECO releases 2023 SSC results, withholds over 12,000 results to sanction 93 schools for mass cheating. Wow, 93 schools for mass cheating. All right, page 5 is where that detail is. Death toll hits 1,830 as Israel-Palestine war reaches day 4. In 4 days, so much people are already dead. All right, we also see here contractors in gang up against federal government over policy on asphalt. Works Minister, compromised staff will be flushed out, sent to ICPC, he says. All right, we need to get details as to why they are at loggerheads. Page 26 is where you find that story. We also see here reps to probe use of foreign currencies for domestic transactions in Nigeria. Tells CBN to stabilize Naira against dollar, other currencies. All right, page 8 is where that story is in full. All right, Victor, this headline caught my attention, and that's the story about Sylva in Bayelsa State. That's the APC Guba candidate in Bayelsa State. He was seen on many TV stations as reports where he has been going around local governments campaigning. But something very strange has happened. A court sitting in Abuja has disqualified him from, continuing the race for the governorship position in Bayelsa State, and this has raised a lot of reaction. Just exactly 1 month to the flag off of the general elections, and he has a case to answer. What do you say to that?
Yeah, it might be another round of bad luck for the APC in Bayelsa State.
True.
Remember, last 4 years, or about the last 4 years, David Leon won the election, as in he won the election.
A day to his swearing in.
A day to his swearing in, Supreme Court removed him. And that might also be a case this time around. Maybe a day before. I'm not wishing them bad luck, mind you. Yeah, but maybe he might get booted out if they don't win the case. Okay, before November the 11th, because right now, by the Electoral Act, every pre-election matter should end before the election. And right now, the High Court has given them a strike, and we hope that by the quickest possible time, the appeal court should come out with its own judgment. But then you ask, what happened? Why is Timipriye under this hot magma? If I can take us back, in 2007, if you can remember, when Goodluck Jonathan had already won the ticket to become the candidate for the PDP in the Guba election in Bayelsa State. It was at that moment that Olusegun Obasanjo / Yaradua picked him to become the running mate for Yaradua. And he left that position vacant. And it was Timipriye, who was an opponent during the PDP primaries, that then emerged as a candidate representing the party for the Dubai election in 2007. Then he won the election and got in. But in about a year or less than a year, or the following year, the Supreme Court knocked on his door and took him out. And there was a ruling that a fresh election should be conducted in Bayelsa State within 90 days. And mind you, he had already been sworn in. Now, the case here is that how can you swear in a governor, somebody, for 3 times? So remember, he was sworn in 2007. He came back in 2008 after the election. He won that election, came back and was sworn in again, then served not up to even his 4th year. That man, he has a story, man. His story will sell. Okay, he did not finish the 4 years. Okay, then he was also removed. Okay, so now the question is he by law, should he contest for another election? Meaning that he will be, if he wins the election, he will be sworn in for the 3rd time. Then the question now will be, will he now be serving more than 8 years, because he has done about
5 years.
5 years before now. So the question now is, how will the Supreme Court, because this will eventually get to the Supreme Court, how will the Supreme Court interpret this law?
It's a tough one, because if they interpret it in his favor, according to how it's said, it becomes a law. It becomes something that people will, refer back to and say, in the case between Timipriye Sylva and what's the guy from, funny enough, the APC, the person dragging him to the courts is his fellow party mate.
Oh, sure. And you know the reason. And he must have been sponsored too from the opposition party, because nowadays you don't from your own party and be putting eye for another person's party.
The court calls it meddlesome interloper. So that in this case is no longer, they will not use that one to strike out the case. They will say, okay, if we make this a law and we rule in favor of the Timipriye Sylva, it means it becomes a norm. Other states, candidates can rise up and say, okay, I've done 5 years or I've done 6 years. I still have an extra, let me do the 4th one. Those kind of things. So it's a very dicey
and that makes politics a dirty game. Because what will also happen is that if peradventure the PDP wins in Bayelsa State, that Kolomoko man or but something Kolomoko,
let me get his name.
He will be, at the end of the day, you might hear that he's part of the government. Or if they don't want to make it so visible, they might just be giving him contrast upon contrast. Okay, and that becomes it, and he also becomes the part of the government, because let's not go there. So, but at the end of the day, let the will of the people stand. That's one thing, and also the APC should. But already he's a candidate. And they need to, if they must swap for another person, they must do it on time. So it is a big issue for the APC right now, because if they don't put their acts together, what happened during the time of David Leon might just be child's play. This one might just happen like nothing happened, and the PDP will cruise. But you then ask about the Labour Party. You are from Bayelsa. What do you think about that?
The Labour Party candidate, former IYC leader. Well, he's there. He's pushing his campaigns, and when you said something about this man, the APC member, his name is Demeswoye Fa Kolomo, dragging Timi to the court. Yes, it's not far from the truth that yes, this might just be some call from other outside parties trying to push him to say, okay, we need to take him out of the picture so that the Labour can have more chance. Yeah, because if there is no APC, the other party that will be contending with the incumbent will be the Labour Party. And Radiri, as I know him, the man running for the Labour Party, is a strong hand. I mean, he has been the IYC leader for many years. And during his reign, he really served very well. And he's well known in Bayelsa State. So, yeah, he also stands a chance. If you look at their counterparts, like Uyo, what was it called? Akwa Ibom State. States that were birthed the same year with Bayelsa State. I mean, if you look at the growth rate, it's so huge.
Poor leadership.
It's so huge, yes. And
Hi.
I mean, and I'm not saying this thing. I'm a Bayelsa, and so I travel home every now and then. I know what I see. I cannot even stay in Bayelsa for so long because I feel that the growth level is too slow. It's too slow. And yeah, if you ask me who to blame, I blame it on the kind of terrible leadership we've had over the years. And most of the people in Bayelsa really probably don't care anymore. It's more like a civil service state. A lot of people, even though we have most of the oil companies there, but these are private sectors that are about their own business. So we need a purposeful leadership. Somebody that will come in and really mean well for Bayelsans and want to grow the state. Yeah, and that has not been the case.
Can I tell you another a foundational issue with Bayelsa State? Education.
No.
So imagine that the leaders were spending money like Victor Atta. Let me start from Victor Atta. Time of Victor Atta. That man invested in human capital, not just by jobs. Education. He invested so much that during my my first degree days, my classmates then got scholarships, as in genuine scholarship, not hanky-panky scholarship. Then, in my second degree, my classmate too also got his own scholarship. And in fact, when we started the program, oh God, where am I? When we started the program, we were about 9. The 9th person left the program because he got a scholarship to go to the UK to study. Fully sponsored scholarship from Akwa Ibom State. Why am I using the scholarship? Yes, I understand Akwa Ibom State has their own issue, but then you now know that you have people almost everywhere in the world bringing something back home.
Yeah.
And you know, when you educate people, so if I'm educated, I'll make sure that my kids, my neighborhood, my people around me, my relatives get educated too. And that is the feedback that is coming from Akwa Ibom State. Aside infrastructure, which I know that which is already there now, that Bayelsa is not doing anything regarding that. Even it also hurts me. Yes, we're not here to talk about Bayelsa, but lastly, it also hurts me that Bayelsa had a president,
and it didn't change anything.
And he did not.
It didn't change so much. I mean, the state is still the same way, and yeah, I'm from there. I know exactly what I'm saying.
With it's not a population you guys have, and the IGR, not IGR, the money that comes from the government. 13% derivative that comes in, the taxes you guys collect from these oil companies. Well, the fishes you have in your water,
the natural resources and all of that in abundance there. I just feel that all of those have not been fully harnessed by the leadership of Bayelsa State, and those are some of the things that Bayelsans should actually look out when they go out to vote come the 11th of November. They need a leader that is really highly driven in terms of improving the livelihood of Bayelsans, and of course development in that state is something that should happen as quickly as possible. The state needs to be, linked to its hinterlands. The Bayelsa State is water. Even in the capital state, capital city, Yanagwa, is water. It's water everywhere. Which government that has come with a blueprint to say, okay, this is the way I want to start to, develop this place, and begin to reach out to other interesting local governments around our waterways and all of that. So much to be done and harnessed in Bayelsa State, but we don't see that happen in recent times. All right, let's move away from Bayelsa State and take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue with our newspaper headlines. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Hey there. Are you looking to record your videos, do your voiceovers, and take your professional pictures? Look no further. With our state-of-the-art newsroom, photography, kitchen for our food content creators, and exclusive children's studio, we certainly can deliver the best studio experience. Our carefully designed studio space can bring your diverse creative content ideas to life. We aim to consistently serve value to our customers far and wide. Come, let Tharv Media give life to your dreams. Tharv Media, a slice of infotainment.
Welcome back from that short break, and I want to thank you so much for watching up to this time, for just joining us. Don't worry, you haven't missed so much. You can rewind the video and, of course, watch the rest of the stories we've taken right here on the newspaper review. But let's jump into our last paper for the day, and that will be the New Telegraph newspaper. And on the New Telegraph here, we have as headline, IMF Tinubu's reforms will stimulate inclusive growth. Tinubu's reforms will stimulate inclusive growth, revises Nigeria's growth prospects with global hike in rate. Edu banks on tax reforms to navigate debts. Also, we see as headline here, Niger Delta roads. Clark writes, Tinubu says federal government shouldn't take citizens' patience for granted. Well, if you look at what Clark is saying, the roads here in the Niger Delta are not looking good. And to think that one means of sustenance of this country comes from this region, and those countless numbers of trucks drive through these terrible roads away from this region back into other parts of the country, and then our roads are the way they are. It's troubling. It's troubling. And so, yeah, I think they shouldn't take citizens living down this way for granted. They should listen and do something about those roads as quickly as possible. All right, we also see here MMA 2 raises tariffs for car park, VIP walking lounge. 48, page 4 and 28 is where you get details of that story. And also we see airline operators seek license to import jet fuel. All right. Tinubu blames road failure on use of adulterated asphalt. And to the main headline on the New Telegraph, it reads, Oil theft. Senate orders probe of security agencies in Niger Delta. Says Nigeria has lost 2.3 trillion revenue this year. Reps probe use of dollar as legal tender. Fret over reduction in investment, say weaker Naira will increase external debt servicing cost, stunt economic growth, hinder job creation. All right, page 2 is where all that detail is. We see here, Tinubu set to tackle flooding. Kogi governor chairs action plan panel to submit reports in 7 days. Page 31 of the New Telegraph is where the detail is. Court okays Ondo deputy governor's impeachment. Why victims of power are enablers of their abusers. Right, page 10 and 29 is where that details is, and we see right under that, Army General jailed 7 years for stealing $2.1 million, 1.65 billion naira. Gunmen abduct 4 Nasarawa varsity students. Page 2 and 6 is where the detail is. And lastly, I'll take this one. It says, INEC clears 5.4 million voters to elect Bayelsa, Imo, Kogi governors, holds mock accreditation Saturday. Court disqualifies APC's Sylva from poll. Disqualification a distraction. Will appeal. Ganduje. Achonu is obedience only candidate in Imo State. All right, interesting. The Labour Party and the Obedience are still pushing hard to ensure that they have another seat in power as governor, both in Bayelsa State and in Imo State. Interesting. All right, let's get into our conversations. Let's start with the story of the general that has been jailed for 7 years. Wow, this is a rare sight or a rare news. We don't hear these things happen every day. But this time, one army general is being jailed for 7 years for stealing $2.1 million. That's a whooping sum of money. What do you think happened to this general?
So the general, I saw the pictures.
He didn't settle well.
Maybe and who is this general? He was a former head of Nigerian Army Properties Limited. So
Major General.
You know Muhammad. What that brings, meaning that he was overseeing the properties of the army, and contracts and all that happens, and the number of the monies that were leaving his account that were missing, they were just in batches for $7,000, $50,000. It was just, then you chop them up, it went up as high as $2.1 million. But at the end of the day, they converted that money for him, which I really love. They converted it not with the IE window rate, they converted it with the black market rate that he needs to pay by 1,000 naira per dollar. Okay, and then he's going to serve 7 years, and he appealed. What is even appealing? He was appealing that they keep him, or he prayed that they keep him at the correctional center and not with the army. So he, but the judge rejected it and told him, see, you will stay with the army. You know what happens when they move over? Allegedly, what happens when they move over to the correctional center? But then, it's a good news, and I hope that people out there will learn. Because how can it be? You just begin to wonder, why would you be a top official from the military and you are so lavishly rich? You just be wondering, is it not salaries and entitlements that you should be collecting? How can a military person, you're not doing business, you've been in force, you've been coming to work 9 to 5, and before you know it, you hear that this person has billions of investments, and just be wondering how.
I hope this goes out as a real caution to other military officers that are really taking this route. And I want to believe that, and I'm hoping that this government will continue to put out reports like this. Let the world, let the country begin to see that, yes, leaders and people in power, when you go the wrong route and you're caught, you will be jailed, receive some kind of punishment to, of course, make people stop doing what they do.
And we saw him in wheelchair, and
that's what it is. No, it's a normal thing. Yeah. It's a normal thing in Nigeria.
More like a uniform now.
Yeah,
more like a uniform.
Once they arrest any politician or anybody in power and is about to go to jail, they suddenly fall sick. They tell you their heart want to fall out. Their legs can no longer hold their bodies. But when they are stealing this money, they are very sound. They move around they drive themselves. But suddenly, once it gets to a court case, you hear them. I went to London for medical checkup. As I was coming back now, my waist pulled out. So it's only my head that walks alone. My leg is in the house. It's crazy. Funny stories coming out from things like this. And I missed out a headline that I'd like us to talk about. And that is the one that says, study, using phone on the toilet could cause permanent damage to the body. And I've been thinking since, how? What's going on? A lot of us, I'm one of those, when I get into the toilet, whether I'm doing it or not, I want to stay there for some time, and that's when my brain opens up. I want to, sometimes I want to write. Sometimes, I don't know if I'm the only one guilty of this. But now they're saying that if you're doing that, you need to stop because it could cause permanent damage to the body. Victor, do you agree?
I totally agree. Aside permanent damage to the body, I'm a living witness when I went into the bathroom one day and my phone got bad from there because water. Death with teeth. And that was the end of that room. From that bathroom, that was it.
I've also had that experience. While I was in there, the phone fell into the bucket in front of me, and that was it.
But then you cannot also, as humans, they say 65% of adults are found wanting in this. But you cannot also remove the fact that we've learned a lot using the phone in the bathroom.
We've learned a lot. That's true.
Yeah, we've read, we've done a lot with the phone in the bathroom, okay? Done our calculations and all that. Plan our mornings, okay? But then you have to before taking up any information and all that, you need to consider your health. And that's what they are saying. The research from a Harvard researcher said that the death or the germs on your toilet seat is way higher than the one on your mobile phone. And you find out that many a times who disinfects their phone, people don't disinfect their phone. So we get a whole lot of germs and all that from the mobile phone. So it's highly advised that you don't take your phone inside.
And in this modern day, you have your kids coming to muzzle your phones from your hand. And you know what children do with phones? Of course, they put it in their mouth. They do all sorts, and you want to protect these little ones. So yes, even if it's a habit, it's something that you need to begin to reconsider doing or acting differently instead of spending so much time.
And lastly, for the damage, it causes your rectum gets so bad when you sit on the toilet. It has been proven countless times.
What if you close the seater?
No, so far you are sitting, it affects your rectum.
Is it the position, the sitting position?
Mind you, just as you are sitting there, you are sitting on a flat surface, right? And when you are sitting on the toilet, you find out that just the ring, are the ones just holding you, and you might not even sit the proper
Properly,
way.
yeah.
So it is highly advised not to use your phone, because using your phone means that you spend more time and you might not be conscious of your sitting position.
Yeah, now I get it. Like if you go in there with the phone, you likely forget yourself and stay more than necessary. So that they're saying don't go in there. So just go in and do the do, and you come out, and then you get onto your day. All right, thank you so much, Victor, and to our viewers, thank you for watching. We spent quite a lot of time today talking, but I'm sure you made some sense out of everything we've been saying. And don't forget to also drop your comments and the reactions. We want to hear your opinion as regards these headlines we've discussed right here on the Newspaper Review. Until next time, I come your way again. My name is William Sabule, and this has been the Newspaper Review on TAP TV. See you next time.